at the moment anyway, one of the world's most competitive economies.
OK, Imogen, really interesting to hear your analysis of the situation there. Imogen Folks in Bern for us. Well, unlike the US's northern neighbour, Canada, tariffs 35% imposed immediately. Southern neighbour Mexico isn't facing higher tariffs, at least not yet. Yesterday, after speaking to Mexico's President, Claudia Sheinbaum, President Trump said he would delay the higher import taxes by 90 days. Mr. Trump had originally threatened to increase tariffs on Mexican products from 25% to 30% because, he said, of a lack of progress on stopping drugs crossing the border. So what might happen next? Let's discuss that now with Juan Carlos Baker Pineda, former Mexican Vice Minister of International Trade. It is very good to have you with us here on BBC News. Thank you very much for your time. And I saw the Mexican Economy Minister saying yesterday that this 90-day extension had been reached without any concessions on Mexico's part. So give us your insight into the status of the negotiations between the two countries.
Certainly. Good morning. Thank you for having me. I think that Mexico, actually, considering everything that happened to other countries, is in a relatively better off position because, as you indicate, Anita, tariffs were not raised on Mexican exports. In addition to that, unlike other countries, Mexico has, at least on paper, this free trade agreement with the United States that provides an exemption for everything that is exported under the USMCA rules. So that covers a significant portion of our exports. So I would argue that Mexico is indeed in a better position, considering everything that is happening. But there is a sense in my country that for the next 90 days, that was the time that was given for continuing with the negotiations, we will be seeing more developments going further. What those developments could be, well, there's no way to know. But with Donald Trump, you can be sure that you will never be bored in terms of trade and trade policy.
Earlier in this process, when the US threatened higher tariffs on Mexico, the president responded by sending more Mexican troops to the border with the US, and that delayed the imposition of those higher tariffs. So we've seen also the language from President Sheinbaum, perhaps taking into account Donald Trump's preferred way of doing business, speaking rather nicely about him, whereas perhaps the response from the northern neighbour, the language from the northern neighbour, has been a little more brusque. Do you think the Mexican president is handling this well, handling this very carefully?
I think she does. I think that she's been very skillful in terms of how to address some of the topics that President Trump has made clear that are important for him and his agenda. I also believe that she's been very successful in terms of sort of toning down the narrative, criticizing or even attacking openly the decisions by President Trump. Other countries have done differently, and we now see what those countries have managed to secure or not. Now, the fact that President Trump does not necessarily have the same level of verbal hostility, if you wish, towards President Sheinbaum, it is indeed a good message. I see that as a welcoming development, but obviously it will be important to turn that asset or that relationship into actual benefits in tariff going forward during those 90 days that I'm describing for you are now open for further talks.
OK, really good to hear your thoughts today. Juan Carlos Baker Pineda, former Mexican Vice Minister of International Trade. We'll be back after this short break around the world and across the UK. This is BBC News.